Hey, welcome. Domain Dave from cheapwinefinder.com with another podcast. We write up 3 value price wine reviews a week, and when we're done with that, we plug in the microphone, and well, here we are. Some people have been doing a dry January, though no one I know. And we've been doing a cheap January, figuring that a lot of people spent way too much money over the holidays, and we've been coming up with some inexpensive wine. You know, one of the things that I was at a French tasting not that long ago, and the wines there are like for $25 to $50. They're pushing those wines. And I asked one of the winemakers, what does the average French family drink? You know, they who have wine with lunch and dinner. You know, most like French families don't drink wine at night. Like Americans will drink wine at night and not during lunch. They have it during the day with their meal. He said about $5. And well, here we are. And last summer we did a cheap wine shootout. We had a $4 2-buck Chuck Chardonnay. I think a $4 Lindemann's Bin 65 Chardonnay, and the Highway 5 Chardonnay was the expensive one of the bunch. It was $4.99. And to my surprise, the 2-buck Chuck won. I was expecting Lindemann. There have been vintages where I've strongly recommended Lindemann, but we're not talking about that. I went back to the 2021 vintage of Aldi Highway 5 Chardonnay just to see if I had a wrong year. Because one of the things about really inexpensive wine, if the conditions in the vineyard aren't that good, there's no money in the budget to make major changes. You're stuck with what you got, kind of. So different vintages can change. And so we tried this one. This is a $4.99 wine, the last day of January. We'll go a little bit more upscale in the next ones, mainly because you get more selection. And we want to try a lot of different wines. I never want to drink the same wine twice. I want the next one. So this Highway 5, I'm going to take a sip and we'll talk about it. First, there's 2 things. I got a message from somebody who said that at least the Highway 5 Merlot was being discontinued by Aldi. This is it's from Modesto, California. Modesto's where E&J Gallo is. If you see Modesto on the label, it's probably some entity of E&J Gallo. They're the largest family-owned winery in the United States, one of the largest wineries in the world. They have tons of vineyards. They have tons of great vineyards. They're leaders in vineyard practices. E&J Gallo, if you see that in the label, is good. so having Gallo, Bronco Wines makes 2-buck Chuck. You figure Aldi would have the advantage with Gallo rather than Bronco, but I don't know. This is a very light wine. It's 12.5% alcohol. For California, it's kind of little a sign of something. Being ripe makes the wine have more sugar, and more sugar means it has more alcohol. So when you have grapes that are less alcohol, that raises questions, if good or bad. And this is a very light-bodied wine, and being a very light-bodied wine, it's not very complex. I typically, when I write up a wine, I talk about what comes first, then the first flavors, then there's a mid-palate, because there's usually after the first flavors kind of fade, there's a second wave of flavors in the mid-palate. No mid-palate here. Everything's what's up front. And this is take another sip. This is like a stew. Nothing really sticks out. There's lemons and melons and green apple. I even get a bit of cream. I'm not sure where that comes from. Stirring the lees gives you cream. Maybe they stirred the lees here. Lees is the dead yeast in the wines kept during aging, whatever aging there was. Maybe some stone fruit, but it just keeps on going. What's there? It's perfectly fine, but it's light. It doesn't really jump out at you. Since I was, one of the things that started me on this, a $5 wine, and in France they have $5 wines with their meal. This is maybe pasta with white sauce, something simple, not something complicated. Cold shrimp, that type of thing. We're not talking about anything too complicated or too spicy. This won't put out the heat if it's too spicy. It's not about that, but there's a place for it. It does taste good. For what it is, it does taste good. And I prefer wines a little more body. But if you like your wines on the lighter side, this might be right up your alley. And that's just a preference. I'm not saying this is good or bad or indifferent. It's not my style because it's too light. But if you're someone who wants that in a wine, you want the delicate flavors. You don't want the big, that you want the acidity that's backed off a little bit. It's all here. That's a place for everything. It's a dry wine. It's not sweet. We'll take another sip. And it's not, this is my third sip. So I kind of, I can't say I didn't like it. A little bit of spice there. Just I prefer wine a little bit more going on, a little bit more complicated. Something to hold my interest a little better, but that's me. And you might like, if you're looking for a light-bodied wine that's simple but tasty, this could be it for you. So like I said, that's it for Cheap January 2024. And we'll be going upscale a little bit coming in February and see what's happening. It seems like Aldi and Trader Joe's are rearranging their wines and how they do business. So there should be some interesting wines coming up, at least crossing my fingers. So that's it for me, domain DaveCheapWinefinder.com. Like us where you like your podcast. If you push the button on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, it does do us a lot of good. If you feel like doing it, please do, and I appreciate it. So adios, keep it cheap, and I'll be talking to everybody in a couple days. See you, or talk to you later. Bye-bye.